Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a radiant new day at Isla Fishing Tips. I'm Lila Marina, your passionate host from a small fishing village along the Philippine coast, and today is Sunday, September 7th, 2025, a fresh early morning with the sun rising gently at 6:15 a.m. Philippine time. As I record this, it's now 4:01 p.m., and the afternoon warmth is wrapping the landscape in a golden embrace. The air filled with the hum of cicadas and the distant splash of water. I am thrilled to bring you a fascinating and practical topic for all you fellow anglers. Tips for fishing near weed beds, the secret to catching sun-shy fish. Have you ever wondered why fish seem to vanish on those scorching days, only to discover them tucked away in the cool, shady embrace of weed beds? These dense underwater plants provide a sanctuary from the sun, turning them into prime hunting grounds for species that avoid the heat. In this episode, I'll guide you through expert tips for fishing near weed beds, diving deep into techniques, gear selection, bait choices, and strategies to navigate the challenges of weeds while maximizing your catch. We'll focus on targeting sun-shy species like goby, climbing perch, tarpon, and giant trevally, with detailed advice on avoiding snags, reading the water, and adapting to the environment. Plus, I'll share 4 brand new personal stories from the Pampanga River, Lake Buhi, the Davao River, and Lake Balinsasayao, each packed with lessons and excitement from these unique fishing grounds. So grab your rod, settle in with a cool drink, and let us embark on a journey to unlock the secrets of weed bed fishing amidst the breathtaking rivers and lakes of the Philippines. Before we dive into the heart of today's lesson, I want to set the stage by emphasizing that fishing in the Philippines, especially around its rivers and lakes, is a skill that flourishes when you understand and respect natural habitats like weed beds. With over 7,000 islands and an intricate network of waterways, the country offers a diverse playground for anglers. Picture the fertile Pampanga River in central Luzon, its waters lined with lush aquatic vegetation that teems with life. The tiny yet biodiverse Lake Buhi in Bicol, nestled among hills and rich with hidden fish. The bustling Davao River in Mindanao, where weeds sway with the current. And the pristine Lake Balinsasayao in Negros Oriental, a twin lake system where nature's beauty meets fishing opportunity. These weed beds are more than just obstacles. They were havens where fish seek refuge from the relentless sun, making them critical spots to master. I started as a beginner, often steering clear of weed beds because of frequent snags and tangled lines, which left me frustrated and empty-handed. But through the patient guidance of my family, the wisdom of local fishermen, and my own determination to learn from every outing, I've transformed those challenges into triumphs. Today, I'm excited to pass this knowledge on to you, so keep your notebook or phone handy. This could be the game changer that turns your next hot day into a fishing success story. Fishing for goby near weed beds in calm weather. Let's kick off with goby, a small but spirited fish that thrives in the shallow, weedy zones of rivers and lakes, particularly on calm, sunny days when they hug the bottom for safety. Fishing near weed beds for goby demands a delicate approach with light tackle and natural bait to coax these elusive creatures out. I first ventured into this technique at the Pampanga River 2 years ago during a memorable family outing that taught me the value of precision. That morning, the Pampanga River stretched out before us, its surface a mirror of tranquility under a clear sky, the sun casting dappled light through the overhanging trees onto the water where thick weed beds swayed gently with the current. My mom, an avid angler with a keen eye for detail, handed me a small container of freshly chopped earthworms and said with a smile, "Lila, goby love hiding in the weeds. Use small bait and a light touch to get them." I carefully threaded a tiny 1-inch worm segment onto a size 8 hook, attached a 1-gram float to keep it hovering just above the vegetation, and cast near a dense weed patch, my heart pounding with anticipation. After 8 minutes of patient waiting, the float gave a subtle twitch, and with a gentle pull, I reeled in a 0.5 kiloliter goby, its speckled body wriggling with energy. The technique hinges on using a 2.4-meter ultralight rod paired with a 0.20-millimeter line, allowing me to maneuver through the weeds without getting snagged, a lesson I learned after a few early tangles. To prepare the bait, I cut the worms into precise 1-inch pieces and stored them in a moist cloth to keep them fresh, and wriggling, which is key to attracting goby. I kept the container in a shaded tackle box to shield it from the sun's heat, ensuring the bait remained viable throughout the day. Calm days, especially from March to May when the weather stabilizes, See goby most active from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., feeding close to their weed cover. A pro tip I picked up: add a pinch of anise seed to the worm bait. Its subtle, sweet scent acts like a magnet, increasing my bite rate by about 20% based on countless trials. This small addition turned a slow morning into a productive one, and I've relied on it ever since. Fishing for climbing perch near weed beds in overcast conditions. Next, let's turn our attention to climbing perch, a tough little fish that thrives in the weed-choked shallows of lakes, becoming more adventurous on overcast days when they venture out to forage. For this species, small live bait or a specially crafted dough mix works wonders, offering both nutrition and a lure. I refined this approach at Lake Buhi, a compact yet teeming lake in Bicol, a year and a half ago during a trip with my cousin that opened my eyes to new possibilities. That afternoon, a soft blanket of clouds rolled over Lake Buhi, dimming the light and casting a gentle glow across its weed-laden shores, where the water rippled faintly with life. My cousin, a local fishing enthusiast with a knack for innovation, prepared a unique dough mix, blending mashed banana with flour, and said with a grin, "Lila, climbing perch can't resist this in the weeds on cloudy days. Give it a try." I molded a pea-sized ball of the sweet-scented dough onto a size 6 hook, opted for a 2.7-meter rod with a 0.25-millimeter line for better control, and cast near a dense weed bed, letting the bait sink just 20-30 centimeters above the plants. After 10 minutes of quiet anticipation, the line gave a firm tug, and I reeled in a 1-kilo climbing perch, its spiny fins flaring as it fought. The secret lies in using a weedless hook or adding a short leader to prevent snags, a trick I mastered after losing a few rigs to the weeds. To prepare the dough, I mixed 1 cup of flour with 1/2 cup of mashed ripe banana and a teaspoon of salt, letting it rest for 30 minutes to firm up and release its natural sweetness. I stored the unused portion in a cool, sealed plastic container to maintain its texture in the humid air, a necessity in the Philippines climate. Overcast days, frequent from January to March. See climbing perch feeding actively from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., taking advantage of the cooler temperatures. A tip I learned: gently jig the bait every 5 seconds to mimic a struggling insect or small fish, drawing the perch's curiosity and increasing my success rate. That day, the overcast sky and the right bait turned a quiet session into a rewarding catch, and I've carried that lesson forward. Fishing for tarpon near weed beds in rainy weather. Now let's shift to tarpon, a powerful and acrobatic fish that uses weed beds as ambush points during rainy weather, when runoff stirs up their prey and drives them into action. For this challenge, tough artificial lures are the go-to choice, designed to withstand the rough conditions. I put this to the test at the Davao River, a lively waterway in Mindanao, 6 months ago during a rainy solo adventure that tested my skills. That evening, a steady rain drummed on the Davao River, swelling its banks and stirring the weed beds along the edges, where the water churned with energy. I'd planned a calm evening session, but the weather shifted, bringing out the tarpon. A local guide, Mang Eddie, with years of river wisdom, handed me a silver spoon lure equipped with a single hook and a weed guard. "Lila, tarpon hunt in weeds during rain. Use this and keep it moving," he instructed with confidence. I cast with a 3.6-meter medium-action rod and 0.30-millimeter line, aiming just past a weed patch, and retrieved with short, sharp jerks to imitate a fleeing baitfish. After 15 minutes of tense waiting, a 4-kilo tarpon struck, leaping clear of the water in a breathtaking display before I managed to reel it in after a grueling fight. The technique relies on a lure with a weed guard to glide through vegetation without snagging, paired with a steady yet varied retrieve to trigger the tarpon's predatory instincts. I stored the lure in a dry tackle box with desiccants to prevent rust in the humid, rainy conditions, a habit that saved me from equipment failure. The rainy season, spanning June to September, sees tarpon most active from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., taking advantage of the stirred-up prey. A pro tip I discovered: pause the retrieve for 2 to 3 seconds after each jerk. Tarpon often strike during these pauses, boosting my catch rate significantly. That rainy evening taught me resilience, and the thrill of that leap is a memory I cherish. Fishing for giant trevally near weed beds in hot weather. Finally, let's explore giant trevally, a fierce predator that seeks the shade of weed beds during hot weather, feeding aggressively in these protected zones to escape the heat. Live bait or flashy lures are perfect for enticing these powerful fish. I perfected this technique at Lake Balinsasayao, a stunning twin lake system in Negros Oriental, 4 months ago during a sweltering afternoon that pushed my limits. That day, the sun blazed overhead, heating the surface of Lake Balinsasayao to an uncomfortable degree, but the weed beds along its edges offered a cool refuge where fish gathered. My friend Mang Leo, a lake expert with a deep connection to the water, prepared a live mullet in a bucket and said with a knowing nod, "Lila, trevally hide here in the heat. Use this and let it swim." Practical tips for mastering weed bed. Fishing. To excel in weed bed fishing, here are some practical tips to guide you through the process. First, invest in weedless hooks or add short leaders. Standard hooks are prone to snagging in dense vegetation, and I've lost count of the times a simple adjustment saved my day. Second, perfect your casting distance. Aim to cast beyond the weed line, then reel the bait or lure into the target zone, a technique I refined after hours of trial and error. Third, boost effectiveness with targeted chum. Ground fish pellets for goby, banana-scented dough crumbs for climbing perch, small spoon scraps for tarpon, and mullet pieces for giant trevally, scattered lightly to attract fish without overfeeding. Fourth, maintain your gear diligently. Clean your rod and reel after each use to remove weed residue, and store them in padded cases to protect against damage, a habit that prolongs their life. Lastly, embrace patience. If you get snagged, gently free the line or retie rather than forcing it, a lesson I learned the hard way on the Davao River. These steps, honed through experience, will help you navigate the weeds with confidence. Personal stories and valuable lessons. Let me take you through more of my adventures to illustrate these techniques in action. Last year at the Pampanga River, a calm day brought me a 0.6 kilos goby using anise-scented worms, teaching me the power of subtle scents in still waters. 3 months ago at Lake Buhi, an overcast afternoon yielded a 1.2 kilo climbing perch with jigged dough, showing me the value of movement in cloudy conditions. 2 months ago on the Davao River, a rainy evening landed a 4.5 kilo tarpon with a paused retrieve, reinforcing the importance of timing in storms. And just last week at Lake Balinsasayao, a hot day gave me a 5.5 kilos giant trevally with a live mullet, proving that the right bait can turn heat into opportunity. Each trip taught me to adapt, watch how the weeds move with the water, feel the temperature shifts, ask locals for their insights, and trust my instincts to adjust on the fly. These lessons have shaped my approach, and I hope they inspire you too. Safety notes and environmental stewardship. Safety is paramount when fishing near weed beds. Wear polarized sunglasses to spot weed lines and fish movements clearly. Use gloves to handle spiny or strong fish like tarpon and trevally, and avoid wading into deep weed areas where footing can be treacherous. I once tripped and nearly fell into the Davao River's weeds. During a storm, a cautionary tale that taught me to respect the water as hidden dangers. Always carry a small first aid kit for cuts or scrapes, and stay hydrated with plenty of water, especially in the Philippine heat. Beyond safety, let us talk about environmental respect. Release small or undersized fish back into the water to ensure their survival, and minimize damage to weed beds by avoiding excessive trampling or pulling, preserving these vital habitats for future generations. I make it a personal rule to leave the spot as I found it, and I encourage you to do the same. Final thoughts and call to action. Fishing near weed beds in the Philippines is an art of precision, patience, and adaptation, transforming these sunshine zones into your personal fishing goldmine. From the Pampanga River's lively goby, Lake Buhi's resilient climbing perch, the Davao River's acrobatic tarpon, to Lake Balinsasayao's mighty giant trevally, each species offers a unique challenge and reward within the weed's embrace. Mastering this technique requires preparation. Check your gear, scout the weed lines, and choose your bait wisely, along with a willingness to learn from every cast. The thrill of feeling that first tug through the weeds, the rush of reeling in a fighter against the green backdrop, and the satisfaction of outsmarting nature's design. That's what makes this sport unforgettable. Whether you were a beginner just starting to explore or a seasoned angler looking to refine your skills, these tips will help you dominate the waterways. That's all for today, folks. We've uncovered the secrets to fishing near weed beds, from reading the environment to perfecting your technique. I hope you're inspired to hit the water and try these methods yourself. Please hit like if you enjoyed this episode, share it with your fishing crew to spread the knowledge. and subscribe to Isla Fishing Tips for more expert advice and thrilling stories. Have a weed bed fishing tale of your own? Drop it in the comments. I, Lila Marina, am eager to hear your adventures. Wishing you tight lines, big catches, and unforgettable moments on the water. See you in the next episode of Isla Fishing Tips.